Upon hearing Klein's question, the beautiful lady with elegantly tied up brownish yellow hair appeared to lose her patience. However, she maintained her smile and said, "Our members are free to do divination for others in the club. They also have their prices, and we take very tiny cut as a fee. If you wish to have your fortune told, you can take a look at this album. It was introductions and rates of the members who are willing to do divination for others." So it's gonna see Vincent there, I'm guessing. It just started 5 minutes ago. However, it's Monday afternoon, so most of our members are busy at work. We only have 5 here today. As she introduced the club, she invited Klein to have a seat on the sofa beside a window in the reception hall. Then she flipped through the album and pointed out the present club members. Hannes Vincent. Hannes Vincent, famous Tingen fortune teller, the club's resident mentor, good at various forms of divination. He charges 4 solely each time. It's really expensive. That's enough to feed Pence and Melissa and me for 2 sumptuous dinners. Klein clicked his tongue silently and did not reply. When the woman saw this, she continued, flipping the page and introducing one member after another. The final one, Classes, a member who joined the club this year. He is skilled in tarot divination. He charges 2 pence. Okay. That's what we're gonna buy, right? 2 pence is, by the way, very good price. Sir, do you plan on choosing? Klein did not stand on ceremony and answered. He did not stand on business and answered, Mr. Classes. The female attendant fell silent for 2 seconds before saying, Sir, I have to remind you that Mr. Classes is only considered a novice. I understand. I will be responsible for my own decision, Klein nodded with a smile. Then please follow me. The woman stood up and led Klein through a door beside the reception hall. That's a really weird marketing. If I go to a divination club, I choose someone, and they're like, oh, are you sure he's only a novice? I'm gonna lose like 90% of my clients. Right? That's what I think. It was not very long corridor when the open meeting room was situated in its end. There was enough sunlight and it was equipped with tables and chairs. There were newspapers, magazines and paper cards. A faint coffee aroma drifted out. About 2 rooms from the meeting room, the attendant gestured for Klein to stop. She sped up her pace and entered the room. She shouted gently, Mr. Classes, someone wishes for your divination. Me? Oh my god, he's surprised. A voice filled with surprise and doubt immediately sounded. Following that, there was the sound of chair moving. Oh my god, he never gets clients, so he has to be over the moon. Yes. Yes, which divination room would you like to use? Replied the lady without any emotion. Topaz room. I like Topaz. Glacis appeared by the meeting room's door and looked curiously at Klein, who was waiting not far away. He was a man in his 30s. His skin was slightly dark and his pupils were a dark green shade. Under his light yellow and soft hair, he was dressed in a white shirt and black vest. A monocle hung from his chest and he seemed to have a good disposition. Again with the monocle, bro. I'm at this point, I started OnlyFans. It's a joke. What do I want to say again? I feel a lot of people are spamming the monocle emoji, right? I'm wondering if it's because of the shibi that said that Lord of Mysteries or in the world the monocle right now is in fashion. Or maybe a character in the future will have a monocle that's popular. That's what I'm guessing, by the way. Because I see it a lot. Maybe they're spamming the monocle because of Glacis. Where was I? The attendant did not say anything further as she opened the door to the Topaz room, which was next to the meeting room. The curtains inside were tightly shut, making it dim. It appeared that only by doing so would one gain revelations from the gods and spirits to obtain an accurate divination outcome. Hello there, I'm Glacis. I never expected you to choose me for your divination. Is Klein his first client? Glacis gave a gentleman's bow, briskly stepped into the room and sat behind a long table. Frankly, I'm not attempting divination for others. I do not have much experience. For now, I'm not a good fortune teller. You still have a chance for regret. Bro does not want to do divination. He's like, are you sure you want me? After Klein returned to the bow, he entered and closed the door behind him. Oh, after Klein returned the bow, he entered and closed the door behind him. By the light seeping through the curtains, he said with a smile, "You're a really honest man, but I'm someone who is very firm on his choices." No, someone's messaging me, fuck. 1 second. After Klein returned the bow, yeah. Please have a seat. Clacius appointed the seat in front of him and thought for a few seconds. Divination is my hobby. In life, one often receives guidance from the divine, but the ordinary person is unable to accurately understand the meaning. This is the reason why divination exists and also why I joined this club. In this aspect, I still lack confidence. Yeah, you do, I can tell. Let's make the divination that follows an exchange, a free exchange. Really? You don't want your 2 pennies? How do you like my suggestion? I'll cover the fees the club requires. It's just a quarter pence. Klein did not agree or shake his head. Instead, he smiled. Damn. By the way, what do I want to say again? Clace is like running away from lions still. He's so nervous. From the looks of it, you have pretty well paying and decent job. While he said so, he leaned his body forward slightly. He held his forehead with his right fist and tapped it twice. But that does not enhance the accuracy of my divination, answered Clacius humorously. Does your head hurt? Do you want divine problems regarding health? A little. I wish your divine were an item is. And had already thought of an excuse as he slowly leaned back. Wow, quickly. In his eyes, Clacius' aura clearly presented itself. The orange colors by his lungs were dark and sparse. They even influenced the brightness in other areas. Damn. It's not a symptom of exhaustion, Klein nodded in an indiscernible manner. I think Clacius is to go to see a doctor, right? Are you searching for a lost item? Clacius thought for a few seconds before saying, then let's do a simple determination. He pushed neatly stacked tarot cards on the black table toward Klein. Calm down, think of the item and ask yourself, can it still be found? While doing so, I shuffle and cut the deck. Alright, Klein actually did not remember that the ancient notebook looked like. All he could do was repeat the question to himself. Can the Anticonus family notebook still be found? Interesting. Clacius is goated, he is. He's so humble. While he repeated the thought, he skillfully shuffled and cut the deck. Clacius picked the topmost card and pushed it in front of Klein. The card was facing down horizontally. Okay, interesting. I'm actually interested in this. Turn it clockwise until it sits vertical, then flip it open. If the card is inverted, which means the picture on the card is facing away from you, it indicates that the item cannot be found. Ooh, if the card is upright, then we continue the divination and seek its actual location. Klein followed his instructions and turned the horizontal card vertical. He clasped the end of the tarot card and flipped it over. It was inverted. So, item cannot be found? What the fuck? Wait. But we are gonna find it later. Clacius, you suck. By the way, is divination possible for non-beyonders because they have like high perception and high spiritual power? Like some like people can have that, right? When they're not beyonders? Or is this like mostly a scam? Maybe just skill issue with Clacius, you know, he can't do it very well. Divination is possible with anyone? Okay. Klein did not respond because his attention... What a pity, Clacius sighed. Klein did not respond because his attention was focused on the tarot card in front of him. The inverted card's picture was dressed in gorgeous clothes and splendid hairdress. The fool! Ooh, shit. I mean, it's not a coincidence, but it's not because of the feather. It's the fool again. It can't be so coincidental, right? According to the hanged man and the old Neil, divination is the outcome of communication of spirituality and the spirit world with a higher dimensional quote-unquote me. Tarot cards are only a convenient tool to read what the truth symbolizes. In theory, using any divination item doesn't matter, as it doesn't affect the outcome. Klein frowned as he thought for a moment. Can it be divined whether the item is already in the hands of others? Of course, follow the same procedure as do it again, Graces nodded with a rich interest. Klein shuffled and cut the deck while thinking of his question. Interesting. He drew a card and placed it horizontally before turning it vertical clockwise. He finished all the preparations with a serious expression. Taking a deep breath, Klein reached out his hand and flipped over the tarot card. Please do not be the fool again. Because he doesn't want it to be coincidence, right? He doesn't want it to be a coincidental thing. He wants it to be coincidental. But if he flips over the fool again, the odds are so low that it just cannot be a coincidence anymore. While praying, he suddenly relaxed because the card was that of the star and it was inverted. Shit, star. Isn't that what people call Derek? I just remembered people saying my star to Derek. Oh, he chose the star. Oh no, he chose the sun. They called him Little Sun. You're right. Nobody's right. I was talking to myself. From the looks of it, the item was not been taken by others yet. Interpreted Claces with a smile. So it cannot be found, but it cannot be taken by others. We know that this is not true, so Glacis is just a skill issue. Little Sun? Yeah, exactly. Damn. Our little son. You guys like Derek, right? I can't wait to see more of him. Hopefully there's a lot of more Derek in the first volume, because the only thing we saw of Derek in the donghua was him crying and praying, like something really bad happened to him. I think maybe there was a battle or war, and then he went into the grey fog. That's it, right? So I'm excited to see Derek. Klein nodded and raised his right hand. He tapped his clapella, looking as though he was deep in thought. Then he took out 2 pennies with a dark copper luster from his pocket and pushed it towards Glacis. Didn't I say it was free? Glacis said with a frown. Klein laughed as he got up. 2 pennies, it's nothing. Surprising from Klein, by the way. I'm surprised he gave the 2 pennies. This is the respect divination deserves. Alright, thank you for your generosity. Glacis stood up and reached out his hand. After shaking his hand, Klein took 2 steps back and turned around. He walked to the door and twisted the doorknob. As he was about to leave, suddenly turned his head and made a terse sound. Mr. Glacis, I suggest that you see a doctor as soon as possible. Focus on your lungs. Ooh, damn. Poor guy. Why? Asked Glacis in surprise. Are you cursing me because you aren't pleased with the divination results? Klein thought for a moment before saying, it's a symptom based on the color of your face. Your clapella seems dark. What's this? It's a classic Chinese saying, if to someone it usually implies an ominous portent. Okay. A little son, can't do no wrong? No. Klein closed the wooden door behind him. Clapella seems dark. It's the first time Glacis was hearing such a description. Klein did not explain further as he walked out the room with a smile. He closed the wooden door behind him. Is he an unlicensed doctor or herbalist? Glacis shook his head, amused. He then picked up his monocle for divination. Oh shit. An ungrateful look, he realized his clapella was indeed dark. Oh, it's a saying, but it was actually true. But this was a problem of the environment. In darkness to the closed curtains, not only was his clapella dark, his entire face was shrouded in darkness. It's not a very likable joke, Glacis muttered. Bro, you should still go and see a doctor. He worriedly divided his own health to make sure that everything was alright. Okay. You're gonna find out. After leaving the divination club, Klein had an additional plan for the future. It was to save as much money as possible to pay the annual fee to become a member of the club. Ooh, is he gonna learn about reimbursement? After which he could begin acting as seer. As for why he did not choose to do it independently, it was because he temporarily lacked the resources and channels. He could not bring himself to stand on the streets as a hawker since he cared for his reputation. Damn. A few minutes later, the public carriage arrived. He spent 2 pence and reached Sutherland Street, which was not very far off. So he doesn't want to do like divination on the street. Damn, that's gonna like get attention on him. So Klein is smart. He's thinking about it, you know. He's thinking things through. I like that. He pushed open the door to Blackthorn Security Company, but did not see the familiar brown-haired girl. Really? Rosella is on vacation? He only saw the black-haired, green-eyed Leonard Mitchell, who is a little bit gay, with his poetic bearing behind the reception counter. Good afternoon, where is Roseanne? Klein asked after taking off his hat and bowing. Leonard smiled and pointed at the partition. He's a thinker. Yeah. It's her shift tonight at the armory. Not wanting for Klein to ask another question, Leonard said as though he was pondering over a matter. Klein, I have a question that was always puzzled me. What is it? Klein wore a blank look. Leonard stood up and smiling said with a relaxed tone, why did Felch and Naya commit suicide on the spot while you returned home? It's likely has to do with the unknown existence made... It's likely has to do with how the unknown existence made me take the Antigonus family's notebook away to hide it, answered Leonard. Answered Klein with the official surmise. Leonard paced around before turning to look straight into Klein's eyes. If your suicide was meant to silence you and wipe out any clues, why weren't you made to destroy the notebook there and then? Leonard is on to Klein, but Klein is hiding nothing. Why weren't you made to destroy the note? Because we know that because Ints made the three of them kill themselves, but the Grey Folk somehow saved Klein, right? So Ints failed. My title on Twitch is still RMJI. Thank you. So Ints was puzzled, like, oh, why didn't this work? Okay. Great chapter. Klein is not officially joined the Divination Club yet. He has to save money for it. Though I think in the donghua, the first episode where we saw the Divination Club, the same episode he joined right away, basically. So I'm curious how... I guess he's gonna go to Old Neil. Old Neil is gonna teach him about reimbursement, and then he's gonna join, right? He doesn't have to use his own money. Also surprised that he did not accept or he did not refuse to give the 2 pennies, because Glacis was like, oh, you don't have to give me. Though he did think about why was it full again, but the third one was the star. I don't think there's any coincidence there. As in, of course, it's not Ints, but a different coincidence to do with maybe... sorry, I think it's a coincidence. I mess up my words when talking about coincidences. I mean, I think it's a coincidence, right? Because we obviously know that the Grey Fog and the Fool tarot cards have nothing to do with Ints from the donghua. So, but this was like a really, like, if it was 2 times in a row the Fool, then I will be starting thinking about it more. You know what I mean? Everything took time, yeah. donghua was really fast. Anyway, great chapter. 39. Leonard is talking to Klein. Let's see how this conversation will go. Oh, not 389. 339. Here we go. Interesting trick. In fact, I do not know if the notebook is destroyed or hidden, but by using backward reasoning, if it is to be destroyed, it could have been done on the spot. There was no need for me to take it away to carry out the destruction. Upon hearing Leonard's question, Klein instantly went into keyboard detective mode and said with a sigh, perhaps when Welsh and Naya and I made contact with the unknown existence, it enjoyed the sacrifice of life or wished for similar situations to continue. With the suicide definitely easily discoverable, I was made to take away the notebook to hide it, so as to prepare for the existence second round of entertainment. However, some mishap happened during the process and I failed to succeed in my suicide. Exactly, dead on, by the way. Exactly, Klein. Now, he did sell it to he did give it to Bieber, but doesn't remember that. This was reason because Klein made from his consumption of novels, movies and TV dramas, which involved cold sacrifices. As for the mishap that happened midway, he knew very well that it was due to the unexpected variable of him being a transmigrator. Exactly. Quite a good explanation, but I believe there might be other possibilities. Welch's and Naya's suicide sacrifice might made it possible for the unknown existence to descend on this world. Ooh, wait a second. Then the notebook in a vessel or a breeding ground for evil. It made you take away to hide it. Worry that we will destroy it if you discovered its birth before it became strong. Leonard Mitchell suggested another possibility. Having said that, he stared into Klein's eyes and smiled slightly. Why is Leonard like... Damn, bro. Of course, perhaps the notebook has been destroyed. The goal is to hide its content and conceal the vessel of brooding of evil. That way there is a sufficient reason for your failed suicide. But what does he mean? Is he suspecting me? Is he suspecting that the original Klein's body is a vessel or used for the brooding of evil? I mean, fair enough, Leonard. He's cooking. No, what he's being a vessel for is a transmigrator. Actually, brooding isn't the correct term. Klein was taken aback while he secretly criticized the idea. He weighed his words. I will not try to defend myself since I've lost memories from the period. Be it Captain or Madame Dali, they have already confirmed that I'm fine. Your joke isn't funny. I'm only considering a possibility. It does not eliminate the unknown existence encountered when it descended. Wait, what? It does not eliminate the unknown existence encountered when it descended, which caused your suicide to fail. We believe that the goddess will ultimately bless us. Leonard laughed as he changed the subject. Did you discover anything in the afternoon? After the conversation and the previous Countess Klein was very wary of Leonard, he answered in a composed manner. No, I plan on trying a different route tomorrow afternoon. He pointed to the partition and said, I'll need to head to the armory to throw the bullets. That's interesting. You know that feed I connected dots, you didn't connect shit? Leonard is cooking, man. Let him cook. That's Leonard and Klein, probably. The sorting club opened 9 at night. After all, its availability increased only after many of its members got off work. May goddess bless you. Leonard smiled as he gestured the sign on the crimson moon on his chest. Damn. He watched Klein pass through the partition and listened to his footsteps down the stairs. Leonard's smile gradually vanished as a look of doubt appeared in his green eyes. He whispered something with a displeased tone. He was talking to his shadow. Down the stairs, Klein followed the gas lamp illuminated corridor to the armory and archives. The iron door was open and the brown-haired Roseanne was standing in front of the table. She was chatting with a top hat-wearing middle-aged man with a thick black beard. Good afternoon. No, good evening. It's always night here. Klein, I heard from old Neil that you have become a Beyonder. It's called Seer? Roseanne turned her head and delayed him with her questions. She did not hide her curiosity and concern. Klein nodded with a smile. Good afternoon, Miss Roseanne. It is indeed always night here, but it makes one feel a sense of serenity. The description you gave wasn't accurate enough. It should be said that the sequence potion I consumed was the name Seer. You still choose to become a Beyonder after all, Roseanne said with a sigh as she fell into a deep thought. Oh, she's like worried for us, right? Klein looked at the middle-aged man beside her and asked politely, You are? Another Nighthawk member or one of the other two civilian staff I have not met. Who is it actually? Roseanne puckered her lips and said, Pret. Oh, Brett was mentioned before. Our colleague, he wished to change slots with me to free up the night tomorrow. He plans on going to the theater in the North Borough with his wife to watch The Prideful One. It's to celebrate the 15th year wedding anniversary. He's truly a romantic gentleman. Brett smiled as he extended his hand and said, with Miss Roseanne around, there's nothing that requires repeating. Hello, Klein. I never expected you to become a Beyonder so quickly. As for me, I might never have the courage. He's a civilian staff, but what does he do again? Perhaps it's as the saying goes, ignorant knows no fear, Klein said in a self-deprecating manner as he extended his hand to shake Brett's. Me not having courage is not something bad, said Brett with a shake of his head. A Beyonder once told me before his death to never probe strange and dangerous matters. The less you know, the longer you live. True, by the way, true. At that moment, Roseanne interjected. Klein, there's no need to mind it. I heard from old Neil that the seer you use as support is relatively safe as long as you do not attempt to communicate with unknown existences. Why are you dressed in such clothes? It's so unbecoming of a gentleman. What are you here for? Oh, seeing Klein in his fancy clothes. Oh, that's cute. I'm here to draw my 30 bullets. Klein did not reply to Roseanne's first question. He believed that the lady would quickly forget the manner. Alright, Roseanne pointed out the table and said, Brett, it's all yours. You should know where the keys and bullets are. Oh, all Neil is petty. He did not leave his hand-ground coffee behind. He promised me that I would think my fill today. Damn. Come on, Neil, what the hell? She prattled on as Klein received the bullets. The duo left together and went their separate ways at Sutherland Street. One took a public carriage home while the other walked into the shooting club. Bang, bang, bang. Klein repeated the process, gripping the gun, raising his arms, shooting, releasing the cylinder, ejecting the empty shells, and stuffing in rounds. Again and again, he became familiar with the process and built it into his muscle memory. Of course, he had a few breaks in between to review and correct the process. After finishing his practice, Klein used the grounds to do various exercises like push-ups. He worked hard to train his body to improve his physique. Let's go! He's doing calisthenics, right? Once everything was over, he sat in an untracked carriage home. Only then he realized it was nearing 7 and the sky was already dark. Just as Klein was planning to head to the market or streets to buy the ingredients for dinner, the door opened. Melissa had returned with her stationery-filled bag. Apart from that, she carried quite a lot of groceries. Let's go. I thought you and Benson would be home rather late this morning. I took out one solly from the place where you stash your money. Upon seeing her brother's questioning look, Melissa explained in her usual serious manner. So Melissa knows where Klein keeps his money. Since you took the money, why didn't you take the public carriage to school? Klein had been reminded of the manner from the morning. Melissa said with a frown. God, voice crack. Why should I take the public carriage? It costs 4 pence to get to school. A return means 8 pence. Counting Benson and you, we will be spending 24 pence on transportation daily. That's a whole 2 solly in a week. Yes, without counting Sunday, that's still 12 solly. Almost equal to our rent. True. Stop. Don't flaunt your mathematical prowess. Klein lowered his palm in a amused manner. That's what the thing is, by the way. Even if you spend, like, let's say 4 pennies a day, it adds up. If you don't calculate and don't think about it, you're cooked. You never save money. I'm just saying. Melissa first stopped before adding, it's pretty good walking to school. Our teacher said that everyone should exercise frequently. Yep, get your 10,000 steps per day, guys. Besides, I can pick up some damaged components on the way. Seeing voice acting the second coming in. Is it good? Is it based? Should I stop? I don't know. I'm still deciding if I should voice act or not. You should have seen my Leonard voice, by the way. Klein chuckled and said, then let's do it. Do the math again. The public carriage costs 12 solly. The rent is 12 solly and 3 pence. The total of £1, 4 solly and 3 pence. Using Benson's salary, it's enough to pay for it. and there will be quite a bit of change left. Yes, he received last week's salary. As for me, I can still earn £1.10 solely every week, even if we eat meat every day while counting expenses like gas, charcoal, wood and condiments. We will still have some left. If we were frugal with lunch, we can even subscribe to the morning papers for just 1 penny. In 2 months, when I make up for the advance payment, I can save money for both fuel and pension. We can have new clothes. But we have to think of possible accidents, Melissa stayed firm on her point. Klein smiled and, yeah, emergency fund. Everyone needs emergency fund. Klein smiled at her and said, then we can eat less meat. Don't you find spending 50, no, 100 minutes on the road a waste of time? You could use that time to read more and think over problems and improve your results. That way, Melissa, you'll graduate with excellent grades. You will be able to find a job with a pretty good salary. When that happens, what is there to worry about? True. Bigger picture, guys. A bigger picture. Lord of the Mysteries has fights than the big tree. The big tree, eh? I love Naruto. Naruto has good fights. I don't know about Lord of the Mysteries though. Just answer and I will leave. Bro, I don't know. As long as you're happy, thanks. What happens, worry about. He fully displayed the experience gained from debating with people on message boards and finally convinced Melissa she agreed to take the public carriage to school. Damn, let's go! Phew, I've finally suckered her into doing it. No, how can I call it suckering? This is called convincing. Klein lampooned before letting go of the groceries that Melissa had bought. He said with a sigh, remember to buy beef or meat like mutton and chicken. Eat until you're full and enjoy yourselves. Only then will you be equipped with a healthy body and clever brain to match the demanding requirements needed for your studies. Just mentioning it makes me salivate. Melissa puckered her lips and after a few seconds silence said, alright. The next morning, after ensuring that Melissa took a public carriage, Klein and Benson separated and went to their respective companies. The moment Klein stepped into the door, he saw old Neil and Roseanne chatting by the reception desk. The former was still in his classic black robe, without any concern for the gaze of others. The latter had changed into casual cream-colored dress. Good morning, Mr. Neil and Mr. Roseanne, greeted Klein as he took off his hat. Old Neil gave him a mischievous look. Good morning. You did not hear anything you should have heard last night, right? What? Oh, because of he became a CEO last night. No, I slept very well. Klein was also quite puzzled over that. He could only put it down to his inadequate perception. Haha. Haha, I don't mind that. Actually, it's not that easily heard. Old Neil pointed to the partition and said, go to the armory. We will continue our mysticism lessons this morning. Klein nodded and followed old Neil down the stairs and arrived at the armory to replace Brett, who had been on duty the entire night. What will we be learning today? Asked Klein curiously. Old Neil dragged out his response and said, the complicated and basic knowledge, but before that, let me teach you an interesting trick. He pointed to the silver chain on his wrist. There was a pure moonstone hanging from the chain. Oh, that's it? Okay, so I remember there's a chippy about this scene, right? The fight scene in Other Mysteries can be very big brain. But it's no shonen, thank god. Some shonen fights can be big brain, right? Especially Naruto. Anyway, Lord of Mysteries. I don't know why I said Lord of Mysteries. Chapter 39, interesting one. Slow chapter, but we are getting accustomed to our life in Loan. We did talk to Leonard in this as well, and Leonard is a little bit suspicious of us. Also, Leonard is whispering to his shadow angrily. Yeah, Roseanne interaction with Melissa as well. We talked about some theories that Leonard cooked up. And yeah, Old Neil episode, I guess, or chapter now, chapter 40. You missed 2 chapters, Nightwalker. You missed Divination Club introduction and some scenes with Leonard and Roseanne and Melissa. Interesting trick, Klein asked out of extreme curiosity. Old Neil chuckled and said, huh, I'll complete my patrol of the armory, storeroom, and archives. Use the 2 cups on the table to make 2 cups of coffee. In one of the cups, put something unpleasant. As for what it is, you can decide for yourself. Use your imagination. The only request from me is do not waste too much coffee powder. Those are coffee beans grown on the Fena Potter Plateau and hand-ground by me. Also, Old Neil promised to give Roseanne coffee, and he didn't. I don't think he promised, but Roseanne was angry with Old Neil. So why would Klein do this? Alright, although Klein was unsure what Old Neil was up to, he happily agreed to it. Old Neil's pranks, perhaps? He watched it open the iron gates of the armory with a copper key and then heard the echoing footsteps inside. Slowly he settled the cups down and confirmed that there was still hot water in the kettle. Music a bit loud? Okay, thank you. When the music is low, just tell me, I'll fix it. Better? Making sweet iced tea? Ooh. Maybe. Washing up the iron gates of the armory with the copper key and then heard the echoing footsteps inside. Slowly he settled the cups down and confirmed that there was still hot water in the kettle. He removed the silver tin can's lid and using a tiny spoon with a metallic sheen, Klein scooped a spoonful of rich aromatic coffee powder into each of the 2 cups. Then he poured in the hot water and stirred it. As a transmigrator who came from an era abundant in resources, he was no stranger to coffee. However, it was only limited instant coffee. After finishing the task, Klein pondered for a moment and sat down. He crossed his right leg and took some of the mud which had stained the bottom of his leather boots and placed it in the left cup. That's crazy. I mean, he did say that put something disgusting in there. He put some shit from his boots. That's crazy. A little bit lower. Hopefully now it's good. How many chapters today? 5 million. Then he carefully stirred it again until the colors and smells of the 2 cups of coffee were practically indistinguishable. A few minutes later, Old Neil walked out the armory while swinging his keys. He then closed the iron gates with a clang. Are you done? He turned slightly turbid dark red eyes over and looked at Klein across the table. Yes, replied Klein with a nod. Turbid dark red eyes. Ugh. Wait, Klein... Old Neil had... I don't think so he did. Will we reach chapter 60? I think at least 55 and maybe to 60. But at least 55. Old Neil chuckled and removed the silver chain around his wrist and sat down. The expression quickly turned serene. He held out his chain holding left hand and allowed it to hang over the coffee cup to his right. The moonstone nearly touched the liquid. Amid the relaxing calmness, the moonstone trembled suddenly. It began spinning the chain in a counterclockwise manner. Oh, we're doing pendulum thing, like yes or no. Without waiting for Klein to confirm, he put away the silver chain and picked up the other cup coffee and took a sip. Do you like bitter coffee? I'm used to having a tablespoon of sugar and a tablespoon of milk. He checked, does this coffee have some thing in it? Bad thing? No? Other one, does this have some bad thing in it? Yes. Hello, Lily. Klein did not reply, but instead asked with the interest piqued. Your divination sure is accurate. Was it because of the moonstone? That was a moonstone, right? This is known as pendulum dosing in divination. It's also called spirit dowsing. It relied on your own astral projection connection with the spirit world and the cosmos to communicate with spiritual intelligence through the aid of natural materials such as crystals, gems, or special metals. The good and bad of things can be divined. Let's talk about the 2 cups of coffee. A counterclockwise motion implies bad, while the clockwise motion is good. Even if it doesn't move, it's either good nor bad. If it doesn't move, you can write the statement on a piece of paper. Take note, the statement is not a question. Oh, so like I said, is... Oh, wait. This is a female. Sorry. This is a beyonder. Yes or no? For example, right? Take note. It's a statement on the question. O'Neill put down the cup of coffee and explained in detail. Klein asked as though he was thinking. Does that mean one shouldn't use questioning sentences? Yes, you cannot use... Is so and so willing to be my fiancé? Oh my god, okay. But you should instead use so and so is willing to be my wait. Is so and so willing to be my fiancé, but you should instead use so and so is willing. Oh, to be? Not is. Okay. To be my fiancé. Write down a paper and place it on a desk. Then use your dominant hand to hold the pendulum chain. Take note. Use your dominant hand, said O'Neill with a chuckle. When doing so, keep your arms straight. Adjust the chain's length and make the moonstone hang just above the piece of paper, to the point of almost touching what you wrote. Then close your eyes and repeat the sentence 7 times in your mind. Open your eyes when you are done and see if the spirit pendulum turns or not. If it doesn't, close your eyes again and repeat the process until it moves. Damn. Also, this feels like I'm back in old Neil class, right? We are back in class, boys. Klein nodded slightly and asked, counterclockwise means no and clockwise means yes? It can also be interpreted as success or failure, corrected O'Neill. He taught Klein the other usages and details of spirit pendulum divination. Klein pondered over the matter and discovered that it was a very useful divination trick. For instance, he could quickly use it in an unfamiliar environment to determine if the food he was offered was poisonous or not. True, he did not need any additional knowledge or field biology. Of course, such divination methods were overly simple. The answer he could receive were limited to 2 or 3. I mean, I think Klein at this point doesn't realize how massive this is, by the way. This is massive because so much info. Info is king. There's no way for deeper investigation or interpretation. For example, although something could be harmful to the body, it could become very beneficial after some processing. An example was certain foods. They were indeed damaging to the body, but nothing serious. If one was on the brink of starving, eating it would not be a huge problem. These were things that spirit dowsing could not determine. Oh, true. And you brought him back reading the visual novel? Yeah, I'm gonna be so fucking sad when we say goodbye to him again. I will have quickly save money to buy crystals or pure silver to create a spirit pendulum. Oh, but old Neil is like, I'm glad you brought this up, because now he's gonna talk about reimbursement. Sorry, web novel, not visual novel, my bad. Old Neil looked him in puzzlement. You can apply for one directly. This is a standard issue for Beyonders, especially Beyonders like us, so they can support role. There's still a topaz and pure silver spirit pendulum in the armory. But I'm still not a formal member of the team. Klein's heart palpitated in excitement, but he felt a little hesitant. Old Neil chuckled and said, for Beyonders, regardless of whether they are formal members or not, they have been provided with the conveniences in other areas since there's no pay rise. Maybe the work perk is more suitable. I'll apply with Captain later. Klein clenched his fists secretly as he made up his mind like this. Yes! How was he to know if Captain would approve his request without trying? Alright, said Old Neil with a smile. We can officially begin our mysticism curriculum. The basic consists of symbolism. Do you know what symbolism means? Yep. Klein recalled the bits and pieces he had heard and the things he had seen and heard from his spirit world and the grey fog. He deliberated and said, regardless of the spirit world or the illusory cosmos as well as the unknown realms, they are beyond our sensory world. It's not something that can be accurately described by the information our ears, nose and eyes obtain. What we obtain are simply indescribable experiences and direct revelations. They also appear as abstract characters or pictorial symbols. Pictorial. These symbols represent different items and different meanings. Damn, he had the answer ready. I love this concept of chapter number. Oh, in the title? Yeah, because we can read forever, you know? We will read 5 million chapters today. Okay? Very accurate as expected of Seer. Old Neil nodded solemnly. Only by grasping the ability to interpret the symbols can you really take the next step into the world of mysticism. Yes, the pictures on tarot cards and each of the elements in the pictures are symbols. They are man-made symbols that help us understand and interpret primordial revelations. Ooh, true. He pulled out a piece of paper and picked up a fountain pen beside him. He drew a short curve. Following that, he added a few vertical lines beneath the curve. He looked up at Klein and asked, "Do you know what this symbol represents?" Klein looked at it for quite a while before saying hesitantly, "Eyelashes?" O'Neill exhaled, "Huh! This is the symbol of the bumper harvest constellation. This is the thunderous constellation. This is the frost constellation. Wait, constellation are the stars, right?" He casually drew a few more symbols. As Klein memorized them, he could not help but comment. The names of these constellations are really especially unsophisticated, yes? Unsophisticated. Wait, what does unsophisticated mean in this context? Unsophisticated, lacking refined worldly knowledge or tastes. Okay, lacking refined worldly knowledge. Lacking something. Constellations are like a group of stars. Oh, it means easy in this context? Okay, so that can, in this context, it might mean easy. Okay. I see. Yeah. Thank you for the explanation. See? Chat is so much smarter than me. Smarter. Yes, unsophisticated. How tacky and primordial. How tacky and primordial. O'Neill revealed a smile. Yeah, it is like frost, harvest, thunderous. O'Neill revealed a smile. Emperor Cell thought of the same back then. He always had the intention of changing the constellation names to things like Virgo, Cancer, and Scorpio. Damn. Unfortunately, he did not have the strength to go against tradition. At the very least, those constellations, old names, and the corresponding dates that represent quiet farming and the harvest. So, are the constellations of the Lord of Mysteries world? The Lord of Mysteries world, the same as in Earth? I wonder. Also, why is everyone's names the same color? Huh. You guys are all green. I wonder why. Anyway. Oh, it changed colors now. Let's fucking go. Or maybe it was just a coincidence. I just looked. You're orange, bro. Anyway. I had to say that Emperor Selchuri is a person with ideas. Kind of was at loss for words. I'm not green. Yes, you are. Klein was at loss for words. Yes, Emperor Cell was likely a decent person when he was alive. Likely a decent person. O'Neill was unable to understand Klein's humor as he continued explaining the various basic symbols, such as the various constellations, the sun, the crimson moon, the brown planet, the scarlet planet, and the blue planet. The scarlet planet? The brown planet? Mercury, Mars, and... what the fuck is the blue planet? Uranus? Can we change our colors? I don't know. Is the blue planet Uranus? Well... the sun... okay, so of course the sun would exist, right? The crimson moon, we know that. The brown planet... the scarlet planet, I'm guessing, is Mars. I guess the brown planet is... but this is like a... this is a different world, right? This is a different world. But yeah. I'm just thinking I'm writing it down. I'm gonna put it in my temporary notes for now. These are my temporary novel notes. That's my creation story. I know. I'm just saying that a lot of things are different, a lot of things are similar. It's like fun to compare, you know? While talking about these, he will teach client how to draw the divination astrolabe and indicate what things to pay attention to. He also taught the materials and creations of crystal ball and the choice of incantation. The teachings overwhelmed Klein. Oh, fucking old Neil is teaching fast. It is, if not for his discovery that the seer potion had improved his memory slightly, he would have long asked old Neil to stop to aid his digesting of the information. That's all for today's mysticism class. Think over it yourself and ask me if you have any questions. Old Neil took out the cold pocket watch and opened it with a snap to check the time. Do not forget to read the historical documents I prepared for you. To be frank, I feel fear seeing them. Why? Because history is like, you know, not dangerous, but history is brutal. Alright, Klein took a piece of paper that were sketched with symbols by old Neil. He quickly went through the mysticism knowledge he learned today to prevent himself from forgetting it. Old Neil took a sip of newly brewed cup of coffee and said, "Memory itself won't do. You have to use it often. That way you can make the knowledge instinctual. Also, cogitation has to be carried out on it. Cogitation has to be carried on every day. Only more practice and usage will allow you to grasp the power of the potion, digging into the mysteries it hides away and removing its unpleasant effects." Damn, coffee is coated. I'm joking. Memory. But he's also drinking coffee. This really does feel like a class. I fear seeing history books too, yeah. It's Ease all over again with mysticism. Can you explain? I love history, man. Underrated subject. I'm 25 years old, by the way. Actually, I'm 24. Talking about high school subjects. I mean, history overall is a cool subject. Anyway, with this race, Klein recalled acting and divination club. He probed, "My potion abilities are related to divination. Practicing by myself will not do. I need to make contact with lots of people and divine for them to quickly grasp it. I plan on joining the divination club after having some spare cash. The one on House Street in Northborough, to become a real seer. This was not something you could hide from Nighthawks in the future. It was better to prepare them. Your idea is very similar to Dolly's. She has always clamored to be a real spirit medium. Because Dolly knows about the acting method. We learned that from the donghua." Old Neil shook his head and laughed. "But why must you wait till you have spare cash? You can apply to Don to get it approved and get him to approve of the expenses." Or the easy gig is one of the others. A lot of the mystery streamers said mysticism. Is it mysticism? Am I saying it right now? Mysticism? Okay. Organization like the Divination Club might also have cultists or members of evil organizations in them. As a valiant step member of the Nighthawks and a standard beyonder, your membership makes it easy for us to monitor them. It's part of the job. We will regularly monitor these places, but as we lack manpower, we can't keep watch on them for long. Now it can be handled to you. I can do that. As he looked at only in serious expression, Klein was dumbfounded. He's making expense claim for private matters. I know nothing about such matters. Indeed, I'm just a keyboard warrior. Bro is calling himself keyboard warrior still. You wish to use your own money to do this? O'Neill smiled as he added when he saw Klein's face. Klein immediately shook his head and answered firmly, "Nope. I plan on reporting it to the captain." O'Neill nodded in satisfaction and looked at the cup of coffee with the unpleasant thing inside. It had not been poured away. "What did you put in there?" Klein smiled embarrassingly. "It's just some dirt underneath my boots. Its color and your coffee powder looks almost the same." Oh wow, O'Neill was taken aback as he suddenly clasped his mouth and roared. "Why aren't you pouring it away yet? Did you drink it on accident or what?" That's so funny, bro. That's funny. Imagine if he drinks it on accident, dude. What's up, Red Devil? How are you doing? Damn. Okay, so first or not first, but like second or third mysticism class for Klein. I like we're seeing more of old Neil. Like I feel attachment to him even more than we had in the donghua, which is cool. Also, we're gonna go to the captain, ask for reimbursement on divination club. So let's go. Okay. About mysticism. I think I'm saying it right.
Mysticism. Mysticism.
Mysticism. Schism. Mysticism. Right? Anyway, 42. 41. Next. Mysticism. Klein Little Kremlin. Little Kremlin. Audrey and her Susie. Everyone clap for Susie. Clap for Susie. I fixed it, Nick. After pouring away the coffee and returning to the armory to take the thick stack of historical materials and explanatory transcript of Old Neil, Klein followed the wall of lights up the staircase to the Blackthorn Security Company. Tap, tap, tap. His footsteps echoed in the sealed and quiet basement. After Klein left the spiral staircase, he pushed open the door and identified his bearings before heading for the second office opposite of him. After familiarizing himself for 2 days, he had a general understanding of the layout of the Blackthorn Security Company. The entrance brought visitors to a huge reception hall with sofas and tables. Through the partition, there was an inner region. To the left of the corridor were 3 rooms. From the nearest to the furthest, there were Mrs. Oriana's account room, a restroom with a few sofa beds, and the staircase that led underground. On the right were 3 rooms. From the nearest to the furthest was Captain Dunn Smith's office, a civilian staff office with a typewriter, and a recreation room for formal members of the Nighthawks team. Okay, I have the layout in my head now. Klein had previously seen Leonard Mitchell playing cards with 2 other teammates in the recreation room. He guessed that they were playing Fighting the Landlord. Oh my god, I can't wait to fight the landlord, guys. Of course, Emperor Rochelle had already... Rochelle is mispronounced here, by the way, just saying, there's a mistake. Had already given it a new name, Fighting Evil. However, the way it was played is identical to what Klein knew. That's crazy. We should have kept it Fighting the Landlord, I swear, man. It's basically the same thing, come on. Brett was entitled to a day of sleep after a night shift. Oh, I wanna learn more about Brett, by the way. Roseanne was at the reception desk, the carriage driver who was in charge of procuring necessities and collecting supplies. Cesar, Frankis was out as usual. When Klein opened the door to civilian staff office, the 3 desks were empty. One of the typewriters sat there silently. Okay, Ackerson Company's model 1346 typewriter. Klein, who had seen similar objects in his mentor's office and Welch's place, muttered. He felt that the complicated mechanisms inside were filled with beauty of machinery. Oh my god, Melissa would love to open that and look inside, right? He walked to the desk with typewriter. After preparing himself, he attempted to type something on air. In the beginning, he often converted the local language to Chinese, pinyin, instinctively. Only after he was familiar with it, he digested the original Klein's corresponding memory fragments and no longer made mistakes. Tap, tap, tap. What's pinyin? Pinyin? I love looking stuff up, guys. Oh, it's like transcribing into Latin's alphabet. Yeah, I see. When is this pinyin used? For translation? Only after he was familiar with it did he digest. Yeah. Tap, tap, tap. The rhythmic tapping on the typewriter sounded like a melody composed from the heavy marriage of metal and industry. Under this melody, Klein quickly typed the expenditure application. However, he was in no hurry to meet Dunn Smith. Instead, he focused his mind and read and read the materials provided by old Neil seriously. It was both revision and new material. When it was almost noon, he stretched his neck and put away the documents. He then read and consolidated what he had learned on mysticism in the morning. Only after all that did he take his application to the office next door and knocked the door gently. Dan was waiting for lunch to be delivered. When he saw Klein hand him the document, the corners of his mouth curved up. Did old Neil teach you this? Yes, Klein did not hesitate to betray old Neil. Yes, Klein did not hesitate to betray old Neil. It's like romanized version of Chinese. Most Shine wrote in Pinyin, then it automatically converted to Chinese characters. Ah, I see. Okay. Typing on keyboards. Okay. Dan picked up his dark red fountain pen and signed it. I happen to be applying for funding for the months of July, August, and September from the church and the police department. I'll add yours in. When it's approved, get the money from Mrs. Oriana. You can throw the spirit pendulum in the afternoon. All right, Klein answered simply and vigorously. His tone and eyes were obviously filled with joy. Before bidding Dan farewell, he asked casually, shouldn't the budget for July, August, and September be applied for by June? Why are you applying for July's budget only in July? Dan fell silent for a few seconds before sipping his coffee. We encountered 3 cases in June. I was busy that I forgot about it. Of course, classic. Classic Dan. As expected of Captain and his poor memory, Klein knew he had asked a question he should not have asked. He gave a chuckle before leaving immediately. With that, he began a simple but regular lifestyle. He would spend half an hour in the early morning cogitating. He would have 2 hours of mysticism lessons in the morning. Wow! Every day? And oh, he has 1 day off, I remember. He has every Sunday off. He will have 2 hours of mysticism lessons in the morning and an hour and a half of studying the historical documents. After lunch, he will take a short nap in the break room to regain his energy. Following that, he will throw bullets and head to shooting club. After finishing his practice, he will stroll over to Welch's place, which was not too far away. He will then change routes and return to Iron Cross Street. That way he could save on the carriage fees. If he had any time, he would practice his spirit vision and spirit housing. On the way, he would buy groceries. Damn, routine. Every Monday, okay. In a private chemistry laboratory equipped with apparatus and items. Oh! Now, finally, we go to Susie. The title was teasing me. The first 3 pages were about Klein, but now we're back with Susie. I think. In a private chemistry laboratory equipped with apparatus and items, a tall blonde Audrey was looking at the cup in her hand. There were countless bubbles and it made the atmosphere serene. Finally, the liquid in the cup break. Precipitated into the sticky silver substance. Aha, I'm indeed talented in mysticism. I succeeded in 1 try. I was worried of failure and prepared 2 sets of materials. The girl muttered to herself in delight. She put away the items she took from her family's vault or exchanged them with others. She took a deep breath and prepared to close her eyes to drink down the spectator potion. Okay. At that moment, barking sounded from outside the laboratory. Ooh, ooh. Audrey frowned instantly. She hit the cup of silver liquid in dark corner, turned around and headed to the door. Susie, who's here? Audrey turned the doorknob and asked the golden retriever sitting in the front of the door. Susie wagged her tail in an obsequious manner. Her personal maidservant Annie had appeared in the corridor nearby. Okay. I didn't study chemistry, no. Audrey walked out of the laboratory and closed the door. She looked at Annie and said, Didn't I tell you? Do not disturb me when I'm running chemistry experiments. A vexed Annie answered, But there's an invitation from the Duchess Della. Duke Negan's wife? Audrey took a few steps forward and asked Annie, Duke Negan? I'm gonna remember these names. Audrey took a few steps forward and asked Annie, Oh, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna copy all the things I wanna write down, and then I have a clipboard. I can just paste. Look at this, guys. Wait, let me demonstrate to you guys. Look, clipboard, and I can put all of them in my notes. Nostalgia. Took Negan's wife. Audrey took a few steps forward and asked Annie. Yes, she has managed to hire the service of the palace baker, Madame Vivi, and plans to invite you and Madame to afternoon tea. Annie recounted the invitation. So they hired a baker from the house? How irresponsible is to leave a 17-year-old alone in a chemistry lab? This is true, by the way. Doesn't clipboard go away after a time? When you restart your PC, I think then when it goes away. But I'm not gonna restart. Hopefully I don't forget. Audrey tapped her cheeks discreetly and said, "Tell my mother that I have a headache. Perhaps a little dehydrated because of the scorching sun. Please get her to convey my apologies to Madame Tella." As she spoke, she acted frail. Duke Negan sounds badass, by the way. "Miss, it's only afternoon tea, but a literature salon," added Annie. "But that won't treat my dizziness. I need to rest." Rejected Audrey firmly. Simultaneously, she muttered deep down, "If they insist, I'll faint for all you see. The etiquette teacher said they can do it most perfectly. I think I hear something." "All right," Annie exhaled and said, "Oh, she acts a little bit like a brat here, right? I think. Oh, really? I did not know that down, but thank you. She's acting a little bit brattish, but I understand she's making the potion, so she can't go right now." There's no need. I'll clean up the laboratory first." Audrey was yearning to return immediately to consume the potion. However, she suppressed her impatience. She only returned to her laboratory's entrance when she saw Annie leave. Suddenly, she discovered that the golden retriever, Susie, who was waiting outside, was gone. Furthermore, the door to the laboratory was half opened. Oh no, oh no, oh no. "I forgot that Susie can open doors with handles. What was that sound? Not good." Audrey heard a crisp sound coming from within. Suddenly, she came to realization as she charged into the laboratory. All she could see was the cup shattered in the floor. Susie was licking the final drop of silver liquid. Audrey stood rooted at the entrance like a statue. Oh my god. Susie immediately sat down and looked at her owner innocently as she wagged her tail. Damn puppy eyes. Oh god. No, I wanna see more! No, we're going to Olger now! Oh, I'm so sad. Damn, Susie became a Beyonder. Susie, a real protagonist of this era. Damn, I wanna see more of Susie, man. Ever since I saw Susie in the donghua and also people like sending like Susie memes or whatever, I've been so jealous. I'm like, when can I watch this? Oh, when can I read about Susie? Like, anyone else got those Susie memes? Olger catching strays. Yeah, I love Olger though. Let's see. In the seas beyond the Brits Harbor, there was an island perennially enveloped in storms. An ancient sailboat was docked in its harbor. A blond man dressed in a robe with the lightning patterns was looking at Olger Wilson opposite to him. "Ooh, who is this?" He asked, perplexed. "Olger, you could have returned to the kingdom and become a captain of mandated Punisher team or a reputable bishop. Why do you choose to voyage out into the sea and become the captain of the Blue Avenger?" Oh, the Blue Avenger, I'm guessing, is a ship, right? Olger wore a stoic expression, and on his rough face, he replied solemnly, "The sea belongs to the storm. This is the Lord's kingdom. I am willing to abide by the Lord's will and monitor this area of his kingdom." "All right." The blond man clenched his fist and struck his chest. May the storm be with you." "May the storm be with you," Olger replied with the same standard salute. Ouch. Also, Standard could have become a captain of mandated Punisher team? Damn. Or a reputable bishop, I see. What's the correct pronunciation? Olger or Olger? I hope it's Olger, man. He stood on the deck with a few sailors and watched his companions leave the boat, walk in the distance. Signs. Signs. You do not understand because you do not know enough, Olger muttered silently. Meanwhile, Audrey finished her second concoction in a panic-stricken state. Okay, so we have Signs and Olga. I'm wondering if Signs was the same blonde person we had in the first what was it, like after the first Tarot Club meeting in like chapter 9 or something. I saved the heart G. Yeah, same. Seeing that silver potion looked nothing different from before, she was nearly moved to tears. Is she not worried about Susie well-being? Gulp. She quickly drank down the spectator potion. Okay. So we're not gonna see Susie talk right now. Friday, a storm befell Dingen. The heavy rain. Wait, by the way, I think Olger has and sees the bigger picture, right? He wants to serve his lord. Wait, let me just think about this for a second before I move on too quickly, because this is something new that we can discuss that wasn't the donghua, right? He says you do not understand because you do not know enough. The sea belongs to the storm. This is the Lord's kingdom. I'm willing to abide by the Lord's will and monitor this area of his kingdom. We know that there are a lot of like pirates going on, and he was also killed a captain last time we saw him, right? He knows the seating method. Huh? What's a seating? So I want to learn more about Olger, and is Olger gonna take down the 4? I don't know if there are 4, but the pirate captains, we know 2 of them. Kilangos was one of them. I didn't forget. I had written down. Kilangos. Another one was Ludwell. Pirate admirals. Ludwell and Kilangos. Anyway. Friday, a storm befell Dingen. The heavy rain pounded on the windows of every household. Inside the Blacktron security company, Klein, Roseanne, and Brett sat on the sofa in the reception hall and enjoyed lunch. We haven't met Frie. Hilangos is a vice admiral. Oh, I see. What did I want to say? Oh, I forgot, man. Oh, no. Oh, we haven't met Fry, Kenley, Sika, Royale. I can't wait for meet them as well. We have met Klein, Roseanne, Leonard, Dunn, Oriana, and Brett. Oriana is also a new character, and I like her backstory. As there were only a kettle for boiling water, there was no way to heat up leftovers. Klein could not eat rye bread every day or take the carriage home every day. If he did that, he would have to walk from Iron Cross Street to Welch's place in the afternoon and considered taking carriage back. It was a waste of money. Therefore, he began joining Roseanne and his colleagues in eating the so-called office rations. Rations? Sorry, I don't know what was so hard to say. The nearby Old Will's restaurant will punctually send a waiter at 10:30 every day. Old Will. The nearby Old Will's restaurant will punctually send a waiter at 10:30 every day. He would ask for their orders and after determining the quantity, he would send it over at 12:30. The wood was contained in what resembled meal boxes. At 3, he would return to take their orders at dinner and take back utensils. Ooh, the rations included meat, vegetables, and bread. Ooh, although the quantity was lacking, it was barely sufficient to fill a person. A cost of a meal ranged from 7 to 10 pence depending on the different premium levels. It's for free, right? Rations? Yeah, thank you. It's free. It's 10 pence for the Nighthawks, but for them it's free, surely, right? Klein would always thicken his skin and order the meal costing 7 pence. Oh, it's not free. Typically 3 was half a pound of wheat bread. There was a half a pound of wheat bread, a tiny piece of meat cooked in different ways, a ladle of thick soup with vegetables and tiny bits of butter or margarine. By the way, what is margarine? Is margarine like butter but made of like vegetable oil? I fixed the screening, now you can read with me. Sorry, there were a few letters at the end that was cut off. I think still is, right? Now it's better. Klein would always thicken his skin and order the meal costing 7 pence, yeah. We actually only have one night talk here today, Roseanne said as she delivered a spoonful of thick soup into her mouth. I heard that, sorry, I forgot to voice act. We actually only have one night talk here today, Roseanne said as she delivered a spoonful of thick soup into her mouth. I heard that the case with cultist elements is going on in Golden Indus. Therefore, the police department has requested for 2 night talks, Brett said as he put down his bread. Cultist elements going on in Golden Indus. Golden Indus sounds like a trading area, right? Like a commerce section of the town. Klein used the remaining wheat bread and tapped into the last bits of meat juice before stuffing it into his mouth. He did not say a word. Under his left sleeve there was a silver chain with a topaz hanging. Oh, he got this topaz pendulum. At that moment, knocks sounded outside the closed main door. Please come in. Roseanne was taken aback as she put down her spoon. She quickly used a handkerchief to wipe her mouth and stood up. The door was pushed open as a man in a half-top hat came in. Oh, maybe Thomas's dad. The left shoulder of this black formal suit was drenched. The side of his hair had grayed. He put away his umbrella and said to Klein and company, "Is this the former small mercenary squad?" "You can say that." "You can say that," answered Roseanne like clockwork. The lanky man coughed and said, "I have a mission request." How many reading today? 5 million. It doesn't depend on mood, it depends on time. But yeah, it was 60 or 55. Also, I think this is Thomas's dad, so we're going... getting the story progressed to the point where those 2 people who lose control, and also clues on Bieber, maybe in the next few chapters, so I'm excited, so let's jump into it. I wish, by the way, that the Audrey and Olga part were longer. I know the story is focusing on Klein for the most part, but like I'm a little bit biased towards Olga and Audrey because we were extremely lacking their story in the donghua so far. Anyway, 42. We want more, we want more, we want more. Butler Klee. Klee? New character. A mission request. You probably came to the wrong place. The security company's signboard is really nothing but a signboard. Remember what Ton said? They take odd jobs. Klein immediately held back his urge to lampoon where he heard the visitor. How he yearned for there to be a message board on a screen for him to share his thoughts. But he soon realized that he had once asked a similar question. The captain's answer was that they could take on jobs if they were free. The money earned could be used as funding for the team's petty cash count and bonuses for the participants. Exactly. Roseanne's eyes darted around as she thought for a moment before saying, "Our security personnel are all out on missions. The fastest it will take for them to return is an hour. If the matter is urgent, you can consider our services." Among the 6 formal Night Talk members, Captain Tan had been invited to the cathedral by the bishop for some unknown discussion. Leonard Mitchell was guarding Chinese Gate in his place. Corpse Collector Fry mentioned, and Cyprus Royale Radine had already headed to the Golden Indus Borough to assist the police in the investigation of a robbery with the cultist Inklings. Sleepless Kenley White was on leave, while Midnight Poet Sika, Tron, and Raphael... while Midnight Poet Sika Tron had gone to Raphael Cemetery in the north suburb for a daily patrol. Okay, Raphael is a place name. Raphael Cemetery. As for remaining 2 Beyonders, old Neil was frail and too advanced in his years, and hadn't taken any missions in a long time. Klein was still a novice and was truly inadequate in various aspects. They are all out with one hand holding his umbrella. The lanky man's expression turned gloomy. As he took off his hat, he bowed and said, "Sorry for intruding. Goodbye." He turned around and walked out. He went down the stairs and left 36 Sutton Street amid the spattering rain and howling winds. What a bloody what a bloody pity. Roseanne watched the man left and sighed regretfully. Although she would not have gotten any share of the commission, she definitely would have been able to partake in a sumptuous meal. Oh, because the money. There's nothing we can do about it. Chinese Kate needs someone watching it all the time. How's the music, by the way? Is it too loud or too... I feel like it's too low, but you can tell me. Klein put down a cutlery in satisfaction. Even though he did not like the soup mixture of turnips and vegetables, he still drank it clean. Don't tell me you want Brett to take commission, or yourself. Roseanne rolled her eyes and giggled. Hehehe. Brett won't you, but you can, or Mr. Sear. The moment she finished her sentence, she immediately realized what she had just said. Oh, she exposed him. She covered her mouth in shock because the door had not been fully closed. Oh, okay. If someone walked past outside or heard anything about Beyonders, it would be considered a leak. No, don't leak anything. Thankfully, Captain isn't around. Roseanne looked out the door and secretly stuck her tongue out. Or I have to go for confession again. Damn. Brett and Klein laughed out in unison as they exchanged looks before beginning to put away the cutlery. After everything was done, Klein, who did not bring his umbrella, decided to stay at Blackton Security Company to the ongoing rain. Why did that guy just wait an hour? Right? If it's... I guess it was maybe too urgent. After everything was done, Klein did not bring his umbrella, decided to stay at Blackthorn Security Company due to the ongoing rain. He took out some newspaper and sat on the soft and bouncy sofa as he leisurely began his afternoon break. Bouncy? The airship route from Backlawn to Tessie Bay is now in service. That's the newspaper, right? The complete anthology of the great detective Manseng is publishing soon. Manseng? Why does that sound so familiar? Was Manseng mentioned in Backlawn with Audrey? Oh, I think it's a thing from... I think Manseng is a thing from A Record of Model Churn the Mortality. Another advertisement for Lacola's weapons. A standard model revolver carrying 6 bullets costs 3 pounds and 10 solly. A double barrel gun costs 2 pounds. Line flipped through the thing and said the honest paper when a particular piece of news suddenly caught his attention. The subject responsible for killing Mr. Wells and Miss Naya has been caught. We believe it's a much needed... so it's a fake news, basically. They believe it much needed reprieve from the horror that was gripped Northborough, Golden Indusborough and Eastborough. Welch's father, Mr. McCovern, Mr. McCovern, who is a banker. Oh, I thought he was a coroner. Imagine, Governor's name is Mr. McCovern. Anyway, who is a banker, has escorted his youngest son's corpse back to Constant City, where a grand burial will be held. So basically, Welch was rich, right? After reading it a few times, on his side, their death was covered up by Nighthawks, because obviously you have to do that, otherwise people are gonna start asking questions, right? From the looks of it, Welch's father had brought the police explanations and did not hire a private investigator to investigate the matter. His grief from losing his youngest son can't be any greater than that of my parents who lost their only son. Damn! The feels. In a solemn mood, Klein sat there emotionless for a long time. He hasn't really thought about his real parents before this, right? He neither found it odd that he was not invited to Welch's and Naya's burials, nor did he feel depressed. Oh yeah, true. Once everything calms down, I'll find a chance to offer a bouquet of flowers to their graves. Klein was about to take a nap in the break room when a knock came from the door of the reception hall again. Please come in. Please come in. Roseanne was nodding off suddenly, jolted awake. The half-closed door was pushed open again. The lanky man from before walked in once again. Can I wait here? You're mercenaries. No, security personnel. Should I be back soon, right? He asked sincerely, trying his best to hide his anxious expression. Sure, please have a seat. Roseanne pointed at the sofa nearby. Klein asked out of curiosity, where did you hear about our security company? Who introduced you here? True, good question. Yeah, I made 2 trips despite the heavy afternoon storm while still willing to wait. I told him to wait an hour, right? Yes, the Nighthawks must have easily resolved missions that might seem very difficult to others. They must have acquired quite a reputation. The man left his umbrella outside the door and as he walked to the sofa, he replied with a rueful smile. I have traveled to nearby streets and paid a visit to all the mercenaries, security companies, and private investigators. You're my only hope. The others do not have the manpower to take on additional missions. To be frank, if not for the waiter that delivers meals, I really did not imagine that there was another security company here. Oh, the waiter did some gossiping, right? It's completely different from what I imagined. The client was stunned. Roseanne interjected with a question. They're very busy. Are there all that many missions? The man sat down and sighed. You're a mercenary team. No. Oh, I'm guessing a lot of mercenaries used the cover up as a security company, right? That's why he keeps messing this up. You're a mercenary team. No, a security company. I believe you must have heard an armed burglary murder at House Street. House Street, armed burglary murder. Alright. Unfortunately, I'm one of the people involved, Klein nodded with a slightly heavy heart. Yes, damn. It all comes back to the, I guess, back to Welch and, what's his name again? Not Nali. What was her name again? Naya. To the presence of ferocious and cruel criminal, the rich men living in the neighboring street and even across all of Tingen City are terrified. Apart from increasing the numbers of their security detail, they have also hired many more security personnel and private detectives. This resulted in a shortage of supply in your line of work, the tall and skinny man explained clearly. A standard chain reaction. True, Colonel Roseanne exchanged looks and saw the self-deprecating smile from each other's faces. The security industry has entered the golden age, yet Blackthorn Security Company was not affected in any way. It's apparent how dismally the company was run, because they don't want people to know this thing exists, right? And if you do know it exists, it's a nice cover for the Nighthawks. Of course, to a certain extent, it also proved the success of the Nighthawks in hiding themselves. Exactly. After waiting for around 20 plus minutes, Klein prepared to leave since the rain was coming to a stop. He planned on practicing at the shooting club. At that moment, the black-haired, green-eyed Leonard Mitchell walked out of the partition. He looked curiously at the sofa. This is... a client? Client. Is Captain back? Roseanne asked delightfully. Back? Back? The lanky man was taken aback when he heard that. He had been sitting there staring at the door. How did he not discover someone's return? Ooh, because he went through the cathedral, and cathedral has a tunnel, the Nighthawks. Roseanne's expression immediately froze as he chuckled. As a security company, we don't use only the front door. Figures, the lanky man nodded in enlightenment. Also, Roseanne is slipping up quite a lot recently. What's happening? Roseanne, are you okay? He was also not surprised by the term captain. Security companies were mercenary teams or small-scale mercenary guilds. It was normal for captain to be used. Oh, so mercenary and security is like indistinguishable, I guess, in this era. Leonard did not tuck his white shirt. Leonard did not tuck his white shirt. His black vest was also casually draped on. He took a glance at the lanky man when he suddenly snapped his fingers and said, I'm a member of security personnel at I'm a member of security personnel at Blackthorn. How might I address you? How may I help you? Perhaps it was because he had long heard about the unrestrained characters of mercenaries that he did not feel the anger of being humiliated. Instead, he let out a breath of relief. He watched Leonard sit down and organize his words. My name is Klee. I'm a butler of Miss Vickroy. A tobacco merchant. His only son, little Elliot, was kidnapped. Oh my god, I said Thomas again. Earlier I said Thomas. In the top reaction, I said Thomas as well. It's Elliot. Why am I mixing up Thomas and Elliot? Multiple times. Apply username. Well, they have informed his little son Elliot was kidnapped this morning. They have already informed the police and the matter has been given high priority. However, Mr. Vickroy remains uneasy. He wishes to go through the channels with mercenaries, security personnel have, as well as your understanding of Tingen, to investigate the case from a different angle and ensure that little Elliot is rescued safely. And you guys wondering who is Thomas? Yeah, I can't blame you, dude. If you're willing to find the kidnappers and hiding, Mr. Vickroy will be willing to pay you £100! £100! The Nighthawks will get good bonuses, man. Really good. If you have the means to successfully save young Master Elliot, he's willing to pay double. £200! Oh my god. Young Mitchell smiled leisurely. Mr. Vickroy seems to only wish for us to find the kidnapper's hideout. If not, he'll not think that his only son is worth £100. The tobacco merchant who has close ties with the southern plantations will not just offer £200. Oh god, why do I feel like in the southern continent there's gonna be southern plantations, not southern continent, my bad. I was like, I feel like southern continent, which it is exploited by other continents, because it's like was the victim of colonialism from Roselle. I was like, are there slaves in the southern continent? Because it said southern plantation. Plantation, when I hear plantation, I think of slavery, which it's not usually, because plantations also, they mean farms, right? But southern plantations, I think it's still in Loan, and I don't think slavery is legal in Loan. How many bread can Klein get with £100? Thank God you asked. A lot. Mr. Victory, yeah. No, Mr. Victor is only an ordinary merchant. He's not considered wealthy. Besides, he believes the police will be more professional when it comes to rescuing his son. Klee answered frankly. Alright, no problem. Leonard snapped his fingers again. His green eyes turned into a gaze on Roseanne. My beautiful lady, please write up a contract. Don't always act like a poet. In fact, all you do is recite the works of others. Having forgotten the presence of the client, Roseanne quipped. She was used to exchanging snipes with Leonard. Oh my god, so unprofessional. Holy shit. Of course, the Blackthorn security company did not really care about its clients. It was great to have them, but it was also fine not having them. Yeah, true. Roseanne left the reception counter and entered the staff office. Soon there were sounds of typing coming from the office. The corners of Klein's mouth twitched a little. He found them too unprofessional. True. 24,000 bread? Okay. There was no stone attempted for a contract. This sure is tragic. True. And more saddening, the fact that I'm working in such an unprofessional company. Damn. At that moment, these thoughts arouse him. What? Oh, arouse in him. Sorry. So Roseanne completed a single contract that had only a few clauses. Then Klee and Leonard Mitchell signed it. After Klee stamped it, she took the contract and returned to the counting room and got Mrs. Oriana to stamp it with Blackthorn Security Company logo, something that was actually useless. Don typically handed it to Oriana for safekeeping. On Sunday, it will be passed to Roseanne and company. I'll wait for good news. After receiving one copy of the contract, Klee stood up and bowed with his hat off. Leonard did not respond. He seemed to be in deep thought. He suddenly turned his head toward Klein and revealed a smile. I need your help. Ah? Klein was taken aback. I mean, you and I can finish the mission together. The corners of Leonard's mouth curled up slightly as he explained. I'm good at combat, shooting, climbing, sensing and chanting, and laying on some support roles. But does not include looking for people you don't expect. All Neil to go out in such a weather, right? When he said sensing, his voice was lowered to a mumble that Klein could barely hear. Really? Alright, Klein did not have this urge to attempt his new ability. Klein did have the urge to attempt his new abilities while also feeling a little wary toward Leonard Mitchell. Phew, let's hope it will be completed successfully. I wonder how useful my seer abilities will be. He wondered with some anticipation. You seem to be enjoying the stream too much? Oh, McSeely. Okay, so the story with Elliot started now, which I feel like the search for Elliot will be a lot longer, a lot more detective work than we had in Donghua. Donghua was very fast. We'll see Klein using his abilities for the first time. And yeah, chapter 43. I want to go back to Olga and Audrey as well, man. I will go and go to the bathroom and make coffee and tea, or tea. I will see, and then I'll be right back. Like, what? I'll take like a few minutes, right? I'll take like 5 minutes. So you can also go bathroom break if you want. Yo, had a quick snack. Okay. We are at Thomas Elliot. I did it again, man. We are at investigating Elliot's whereabouts and saving Elliot from those crooks. Right? And like I said last time, I do think that this process of finding Elliot is going to be a lot more detailed and a lot more detective work than we did see in Donghua, so I'm interested in this as well. Thank you, Lily. Search. Exactly, Nightwalker. Wait, I'm gonna pin the message. Or if Lucy Remy is here, she can also pin. But I think I already doing it, so. Give me a second. Also, if you're enjoying the stream, please like and subscribe to not miss the next one. I heard myself, I'm sorry. Already heard it too, I think. I don't think I can pin that. It's my YouTube stream. It's like, look at this. The chat is not loading. Is it my issue? Okay, there we go. Damn, Maxili. That's crazy. Okay, I pinned the Discord invitation. Anyway. Also in Discord, you get notified when I go live as well. And I see live on LOTS 3-4 times a week around this time, a little bit earlier. Only my issue? Okay. Anyway, while looking at Klein, Leonard's mother nodded. Then, do you need anything from them? He had cooperated with Old Neil and company numerous times, so he naturally knew that divination required a medium, especially when the person being divined was not present. Klein thought for a moment before saying to Klee, I need some of Elliot's recent clothes which have not been washed or starched. It would be better if you have any accessories he used to wear on him. Try to choose ordinary mediums, not something that would normally invite questions. But even so, Klee wore a look of puzzlement. Why? After his question he added, I have a picture of young Master Elliot on me. Why? Because we are divining his location. Klein was momentarily at loss for an answer. Say our dog is gonna sniff it, you know? Our dog is gonna sniff it and pick up on the scent. He answered truthfully, ignoring the fact that it would violate the confidentiality clause. If he answered normally. Klee would likely storm out immediately and rip apart the contract while cursing. This bunch of cheats, if that works, why don't you find the most famous breed medium in this our country? Yeah, he would do that. By the side, Leonard Mitchell chuckled and said, Mr. Klee, my partner, colleague, Jesus Christ, my partner, colleague, wears a unique spit. And sense of smell is sharper than a hound's. That's why we need clothes like little Elliot wore, and items used to wear on his to fighting him. As you know, clues typically bring you to a general region. So the picture we will need to. As for the picture, we'll need to. Both of us need to know what Elliot looked like. Ryan accepted the reason by nodding slowly. Will you be waiting here, or will you be going with me to Mr. Vickroy's residence in the city? Let's go together, it saves time, replied Klein simply. By the way, Leonard said partner. That's crazy. You know what, queer people say about their boyfriend or girlfriend when usually they're like the same gender? They say partner. They say partner. So, a little slip up, Leonard. Anyway. Will you be waiting here? Okay. Not only was he eager to try out his abilities as a Beyonder, but he also wanted to save the child. True. Alright, the carriage is downstairs. As Klee spoke, he took out a black and white photograph and handed it to Leonard. It's a picture of Elliot Vickroy alone. He was about 10 years old with a rather long hair. Nearly covered his eyes. There were obvious wrinkles on his face and he did not seem to stand out. Leonard glanced at it and handed it to Klein. Klein took a careful look and placed the photograph into his pocket. Then he took his cane and put on his hat. He followed the duo of Blackthorn Security Company and boarded the carriage downstairs. The carriage interior was rather spacious. It was lined with a thick carpet and a tiny table to rest items on. As Klee was around, Klein and Leonard did not say a word. Then Guetta took in the experience of traversing the pooling roads in carriage. The carriage driver is quite good. Leonard broke the silence after some time with a praise and a smile. Yeah. Klein answered perfunctorily. Clee forced a smile and said, "Your compliments are his honor. He will be there soon." As they were afraid of alerting the kidnappers, the carriage did not stop at Viceroy's residence. Instead, it stopped at the side of a nearby street. Smart. Partner in crime? Oh, okay. And the crime? Fuck, shut the fuck up, McSilly. That's so funny, dude. Holy damn. The funniest joke in this live stream so far, by the way. Anyway, Klee had an umbrella and returned along. After waiting for some time, Leonard talked to Klein again. My surmise the last time was not my surmise the last time was not with a goal. I was just trying to tell you that the notebook will definitely appear again. Perhaps it might be soon. That really isn't a happy surprise. Klein used his chin to gesture towards the garage. Driver outside, indicating that he did not wish to discuss any topics with outsiders around. Leonard whistled and turned his head to look out the window. He saw raindrops streak across the glass, leaving behind blurry marks. It made the world outside a complete blur. After a while, Clee returned with a bag of items. Since he walked in a hurry, the edge of his trousers were soiled. And his shirt front was slightly wet. I know it's soiled, like as in dirt. And we have a huge poster of Leonard. Send me a link, I'll buy it. I swear to God, I'll buy it. Send me a link to like Amazon or whatever on my Discord, I'll buy the poster. These are the clothes young Master Elliot wore yesterday. This is the storm amulet he used to wear. Klein took it and glanced at it. He discovered it to be a miniature gentleman's formal suit, a small shirt, vest, bow and tie, etc. Okay. Miniature gentleman, by the way, that's crazy. And the storm amulet was made of bronze. It was carved with the symbols representing chaos and sea waves, but it did not trigger Klein's perception. I'll recount in detail the incidents leading up to young Master Elliot's kidnapping. Hopefully it will let you find him easier. Clay sat down and described the nightmare that happened in the morning, hoping that the helpers he went through great trouble to hire the full pay of help. Klein and Leonard held no interest in the specifics. All they cared about was the number of kidnappers, if anything unusual had happened, or if they had any weapons. 3. Normal, armed firearms. After obtaining the desired information, they paid Clea well and hired a 2-wheeled light carriage. Unlike public carriages, private hire carriages were either 4-wheeled or 2-wheeled. They were charged either by time or distance. The latter was a 4 pence a kilometer in the city and 8 pence a kilometer outside. The former cost 2 soldi per hour or part thereof. After the first hour, there were additional charges of 6 pence every 15 minutes. In inclement weather, or if the customer needed to go faster, the fare could even be higher. Klein had heard from Asik in the capital Backland his carriage drivers were famous for quoting outrageous prices. Damn. Relatable. To him, taking a private carriage was quite a luxury. However, he did not need to worry about this at the moment, since Leonard had tossed 2 1 soldi notes to the carriage driver. Charge it by the time. After Leonard gave his instructions, he closed the carriage door. Where are you going? The carriage driver was delighted and puzzled as he held the 2 notes. Wait a moment, Leonard cast his gaze at Klein. Klein nodded slightly and took out Elliot's clothes. He spread it out on the carriage floor and then wound the storm amulet around his cane handle. He held the silver inlaid plate cane and hung it straight over Elliot's clothes. He gathered a sphere of light in his head and his mind rapidly turned still. His brown eyes quickly turned deeper in color as he entered a half-cogitation state. He felt his body's spirit turning light. He vaguely saw the world of spirits everywhere. He silently said Elliot's location. By the way, this sequence in donghua was really colorful. It looks like the spirit vision, right? After repeating it 7 times, he released his grip on the black cane, but the cane did not fall to the ground. It remained standing in front of him even though the carriage was shaking. So the carriage driver doesn't realize something's going on. Minute but invisible stirrings happened around Klein after he felt that pairs of eyes were looking at him. Oh shit. Over the past few days, Klein had felt this sensation occasionally when he was in the state of cogitation or spiritual vision. Pair of eyes? Just like how... Remember when we had the spirit vision on old Neil and we saw old Neil? We saw the hidden sage. is the person minute not minute? I don't get what you mean. When so are the eyes related to a higher sequencer like spying on Klein and same person who keeps saying Cornatsis and Phlegrea maybe? Or are the eyes a part of his ability? These are like separate from what he saw with I don't know what you guys are talking about. Let me read again a little bit behind then, wait. Minute, but oh. Minute. As a 60th of degree of angular measurement. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. That's a really thank you, Donba, actually. Thank you so much. So visible stirrings happened on Klein, and they felt as a pair of eyes were looking. It felt like a pair of eyes were looking at him. Maybe they weren't looking at him. Over the past few days, Klein had felt this sensation occasionally when he was in the state of cogitation and or spiritual vision. Someone spying or someone is in contact with Klein, and it makes sense that it will be the same person who is whispering Hornatsis and Phlegrea, right? We know that in some cases, for example, when he reaches sequence 8 clown, he can like use eyes and part of his like abilities, right? Same with I think Spectator as well. But I think these eyes are different. Little fear, he looked at the cane with the deep black eyes. He decided once again in his heart, Elliot's location. After he finished saying that, the cane fell and pointed straight ahead. Straight, Klein held the cane and said in deep voice. His voice sounded a little ethereal, as though it could penetrate the unknown world. Damn, aura. This was one of the divination abilities he had grasped. It was called Dowsing Rod Seeking. The tool of choice had to be wooden, metallic, or a mixture of both. Ordinary circumstances, he would require 2 real dowsing rods. Dowsing rods were shaped like 2 straight metal wires tapered to an edge. He would hold on to the shorter side and turn it to ascertain the correct direction. But as a seer, Klein realized that through practice he could search for people directly using this method. He could also use his cane as a replacement for dowsing rods. The direction in which the cane fell was the direction of the items he was seeking. Okay. As for the Anticonus family's notebook, Klein did not remember it at all, so he can't imagine it. Without the slightest impression, there was no way to find it. Go straight. I mean, Leonard doesn't, but okay. Leonard instructed the carriage driver loudly. We will tell you when there's need to turn. The carriage driver did not understand why that was necessary, but the notes in his pocket and the willingness of his passengers to hand over the money kept him quiet. Good man. He chose to follow with strange instructions. The carriage proceeded slowly, passing through one street after another. Midway, Klein used dowsing rods seeking to correct her direction. After the carriage circled around building once, he finally determined that Elliot was inside. Smart. It had only been 30 minutes since they bade Clee farewell. You're in spirit vision, you see a spirit around you with those eyes. But he didn't say so. But Klein didn't say he saw a spirit. He said he felt a pair of eyes looking at him. I mean, yeah, that means that can also mean that he felt a spirit looking at him, right? But you're right. Elliot was inside. It had only been 30 minutes since they bade Clee farewell. After he got the cane, Klein did not continue using Elliot's clothes. Instead, he placed the cane entwined with the storm amulet directly onto the ground. His eyes turned dark once again as the raindrops around him suddenly spun in place. The cane fell in front with a slant. Klein pointed at the staircase and said, "There." At times, I really envy old Neil, similarly envy you now. Upon seeing this scene, Leonard smiled with a sigh. Oh, no sissy voice, sorry. Um, At times, I really envy old Neil. Similarly, I envy you now. Upon seeing the scene, Leonard smiled with a sigh. Lion shot him a glance and replied with a calm down. Don't. This is nothing difficult. If you are willing to learn, you will definitely be able to master it. Your perceptivity should be very high, right? Leonard nodded and chuckled. That's something good. That's not something good. He quickened his pace and walked in the building amid the ending rain. I'm guessing Leonard said that because having high perceptivity is you hear more voices and that like that, right? I envy old Neil. Don't say that. Klein was afraid of trenching his formal suit, so he choked in Tao. The building only had 3 stories and was similar to a uniblock from Earth. The entrance to each floor was situated along the flight of stairs. There were only 2 units on per floor. Klein used downsing rods seeking on both the first and second floors, but the cane remained still while pointing upward. The 2 of them quieted their footsteps and arrived at the 3rd floor. Klein once again placed the black cane on the floor. Whoosh! A breeze blew across the stairs and his pupils changed colors. Darkness seemed like it could suck the souls of people. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Sobs seemed to sound around Klein. Klein relaxed his palm as the game with the entire storm amulet magically stood erect. He silently read Elliot's location again. He watched his black cane drop silently as it pointed to the right room. They should be in there. While Klein picked up his cane, he tapped his scalpella twice. Various colors saturated as he looked at the right room. He saw all sorts of auras inside. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 kidnappers and 1 hostage. Ooh, the numbers match. I thought there was 2. I thought there was 2 kidnappers, not 3. I guess in donghua it had 2. One of their auras is short. It's likely Elliot. Mr. Klee said that they have 2 hunting rifles and a revolver. Klein whispered. Leonard chuckled. Let me recite the poem for them. Why be a kidnapper? Why be a kidnapper? Why can't you happily be a civilized person? He put on the bag with Elliot's clothes and took 2 steps forward. His expression suddenly turned serene and melancholic. His magnetic and deep voice gradually sounded. Oh, it has a deep voice? Oh, my bad. Oh, the dread of horror, the hope of crimson cries. Oh, thing at least is certain that this life flies. One thing is certain, and the rest is lies. The flower that once was bloomed forever dies. Damn. This is the poem here I said earlier as well. This is the second time I heard this poem, right? On the dread of horrors, the hope of crimson dies. One thing at least is certain that this life flies. One thing is certain, and the rest is lies. Flower that once was bloomed never ever dies. True. That's very poetic, by the way. It's a high voice. I know. I wasn't trying to fix the voice. I'm not gonna give him a new voice. I have been using like this zesty voice for a little bit, right? I wonder, is it annoying? Zesty voice annoying? I can stop, by the way. Just to give me your opinion on it. Anyway. You need deep voice? I can't do a deep voice. I have a pretty high voice, I think. Like, you can, I don't know. Hearing my own voice? Yeah. It's not annoying? Okay. Anyway, we are approaching Elliot's kidnappers now. I think in a donghua, the scene of Leonard fighting the kidnappers was overblown by the donghua, where they were doing a lot of extra things, and apparently most people didn't like that, and it was supposed to be very symbolic. So let's see how it goes in the novel. Now, I do think the entire chapter, next one, is gonna focus on the fight, because it was a pretty long fight in the in donghua as well. So let's see.